Hello everybody, welcome to BrickVault. In front of us, we've got, well, two different versions of the same ship. From the Expanse, here is the Rocinante in gray and the Tachi in the original MCRN black and orange. It's the 24th century, humans have spread throughout the solar system, and I'm not going to explain the story of the show, but what we're looking at is the legitimately salvaged Corvette class frigate from the Mars Congressional Navy. The main characters find themselves both on the run and in pursuit of those that would like to start a war between the larger powers, and the aptly named Rasanante is their trustworthy steed that ultimately gets them to their goals. Before I jump into the details of this model, first I do want to say that if you wanted to build this ship or these ships for yourself, the instructions can be found at our web store www.brickvault.toys. Included are the PDF step-by-step building instructions as well as a digital parts list for uploading and ordering all the pieces you'll need online. This original design came from the builder Kevin J. Walter. You may remember him from his USS Enterprise, and buying instructions from us is a great way to help support what we do at the channel, and also it really helps support the designers we work with like Kevin. In case some of you were wondering, yes, both the Rocinante and Tachi are built at the micro scale that we've been fleshing out here in the studio. So yes, this is actually exactly how big the Rasanante would be in comparison to the rest of these different Star Wars ships that you see in this shot here. Specifically, the dimensions for this ship come out to 7.5 inches long, 19 centimeters, and 2 inches wide and tall, that is around 5 centimeters. On this angular display stand, it comes out to 8.5 inches high or 21 centimeters, and I am done talking about the baseline logistics. Now, what's really fun about this ship is that it rides that line between looking kind of fun and rugged and a bit tough, while still maintaining a certain level of realism that the universe of the Expanse is really going for. It's designed in a pretty logical way. We've got a cockpit in the front with no weird things that obscure its vision, a big thruster in the back, no wings, obviously, because it doesn't need to fly in atmosphere, as well as armaments that cover it from all directions, because strategically that's just what makes the most sense for a military vehicle in space to have. The cylindrical shape of the ship works for both storage inside larger ships and re-entering atmosphere, while the angular geometric surface adds a bit more purpose to the internal storage compartments like the 6 deployable PDCs. For hardcore science fiction fans, this ship is a breath of fresh air because at no point are you questioning how or why something just happened in an action sequence, and it's also a great ship for casual nerds who just like them a good looking spaceship. Despite the Lego model's small size, Kevin, the designer, managed to fit some of the more difficult proportions in by using some pretty advanced building techniques. The protruding boxy compartments are made by attaching some sub-assemblies with a clip and inkwell there. Then it's all pinched together with some hinges. The sensors in the front, though delicate, capture some much needed intricacy with the use of walkie-talkies and neck brackets. The staggered bar clips and plate clips juxtapose well against the minifigure hands supporting that main thruster at the bottom. And then the ice skate pieces that are somewhere in the mid section of the ship both serve excellently as a bit of detail, and they're also attached quite strongly and used as a support system for displaying the model on the stand. Also, another thing that I think really worked for me during this build is that Kevin built this model in a very approachable way. It's put together in 3 main sections. You might be able to see where each area connects together, and it makes for a fun building experience that sort of tricks you into thinking you're building something easy or simple when in fact there are some really advanced techniques both on the outside and inside. I suppose it's time to jump into the handling section of this video. I'm going to have it sped up a little bit just to kind of show you guys everything that's happening. You can rotate the Rocinante, or the Tachi in this case, around each of the 4 different pegs on the display stand, so it can be facing slightly different angles. And the ship itself in general fits decently in this configuration, though you kind of want to have that trans clear bar at the bottom wedged in a way that keeps a little bit of extra tension onto the model. You can see I'm messing around a little bit with the Rossi here to show you guys how that wobble looks. Nothing too serious. And then taking them both off the stands, you can see that there's a bit of posability, of course, when it comes to the guns. Because they're just attached by a single stud, they don't have the ability to point straight out, just move around at 360 degrees. And it's also quite easy to take the guns off if you wanted to display the ship when it's not in an attack position, which is most of the time you actually see either of these vehicles. In terms of handling, these models are about as casual as you can get when it comes to a custom design, even though the extremities of the front sensors are a little bit weak. If you hold it right, you can actually support the entire model that way. One of the angular shapes on the head you can pull away somewhat easily, and the only other extremity on this ship that I can think of are those little ice skate pieces that stick out on the sides. Moving on to the Rasanante, you can see I'm holding it by the thruster, and you saw me taking the guns off of the ship for the Tachi, so let me just reattach the guns for the Rasanante, the 6 PDCs, or point defense cannons. And there you basically have it for the handling of these models. Extremely easy to move around. Swoosh, obviously. Display setup is about as fast as anything could be. And I suppose it's time to move on to final notes. Some of you might be wondering why the gray version, the Rocinante, doesn't have any orange highlights. And frankly, it's not that easy to see a lot of the orange bits on the ship from the first couple of seasons from the show. So Kevin decided to go with the look of the model that just sort of registers visually how the ship would look in most shots that you see it from the show. Who knows, maybe at some point there might be some stickers developed for some tiny little details here and there if you really want. And this designer is not done visiting the Expanse universe, so you might see a couple other ships also entering the LEGO world for the Expanse universe, including, my guess would be, the Season 4 coloration of the Rasanante as well. On a personal note, I really do think that the Rasanante will go down as a classic science fiction ship, and Kevin's model was a pretty fun build, and it's also extremely intricate and a bit complex. If you wanted to build either of these models for yourself, the instructions can be found at the web store www.brickvault.toys. If you like what we do here, you can always like or subscribe, share the video, visit the web store, do whatever you want to do. Thanks so much for hanging out to the end of the episode, and we'll see you next time at BrickVault.